Hi, welcome to the Magic Apothecary's monthly webcam study group of the tarot. I am Mary Elizabeth Micari. This is my group, the Magic Apothecary. There are 3 other videos up both on this group and on YouTube. I will put up all this information on this group and on my tarot study group today. After this is finished, I will give you links to YouTube and to my websites and everything else. If you're interested in my website, it's an easy thing to remember. If you're looking at me here, it's themagicapothecary.com. It's the-magic-apothecary, APOTHECARY.com. So you can find me there. You can also write to me with questions on Facebook through the Magic Apothecary group where this is posted, and also my other groups. I have a tarot group, I have a spellcraft group, and several other groups that are all linked together in a magical sort of system that I'm working on. So also you can write to me at themagical, M-A-G-I-C-A-L, apothecary@gmail.com. So there's plenty of ways to reach me with questions about tarot or magic or anything else. This is a free service that I give to the Facebook community, the YouTube community. I think it's very important that people learn how to use tarot cards. I was just talking to somebody today about this and how it is very difficult for some people to want to study them because it's quite a large undertaking. Let's go back a little bit here, and then you'll find this more in the first video if you go through the series with me. Sometimes things that are very esoteric, like magic and or tarot cards and fortune telling and meditation, and I can go into a million other avenues from Buddhism to Hindu religion and even yoga. Each and every one of those things seem at the beginning to, like a simple idea that I can just sort of study and get it and it'll be easy, but it's not. I have been studying and working with tarot since I was a preteen. At my grandmother's knee, my Italian grandmother, whose mother was what they called a strega, and she read from tea leaves and palms, and also she read from a regular card deck. At that time, we just used a regular American, European card deck with jacks and diamonds and clubs and spades, and that's what we call now. They did before also in the Tarocchi. That was the minor arcana. That's the name that's been given to it. There's lots of information online about the history of tarot. I find it fascinating. You might not. If you're here just to get fortune telling fun, then I suggest you find someplace else to do that, because that's not what we're doing here. We're actually learning about cards and how to read them for real, and also how to put it all together so that you can have your own way of reading and maybe perhaps read for other people or make a tarot reading business for yourself if you like. People use tarot cards for many different reasons. A lot of people who are into witchcraft and or spell making will use them to find out whether or not it's going to be a good working or if they should do the working. Other people will look at their cards every single day, and they will discover whether or not the day is going to go the way they want or what they need to change. I'm finding that even myself, I get a little lazy and I don't want to take my deck out. I'd rather sometimes get on my app on my phone and pretend that that app is actually reading my fortune correctly. But of course it's not. It's just an app. And maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some kind of force of the universe that's pushing the app on my phone to do the same thing my deck of cards would do. But the difference would be the fact that when I touch my deck of cards, or when I look at them, I'm interpreting something live and real and not just mental. I do teach other subjects, one of them being music, and I've been telling people all week that it's not just what you know in your mind, but it's also what you can do with your hands, your throat, or your body in general. So knowing cards, knowing or seeing them and having a computer program tell you what they're about, or looking them up on Wikipedia or Wikipedia, which there is one thing, or Taropedia, those all exist. That's all great aids to study, but it's not the doing of. So far in the first 3 videos, we've gotten as far as 16 of the 21 major arcana. So we're almost done, and today will be the end of it. And then we're going to go into the minor arcana. And when I get finished today, I might talk to you about spreads, how to lay cards down. There's one way to start and then and you build onto it. So maybe this month we did last month actually, I advised people to do a 3-card reading, and maybe now we'll do a 4-card reading or a 5-card reading, and then we'll go on to things like the typical Celtic cross or relationship spreads and things like this. There's a million ways you can lay cards down. Just know that too, there are different kinds of cards, and I brought one in today. I always like to have a collection of cards. I have a lot of tarot cards and fortune telling cards. People give me cards very nicely as gifts, which I love because I love them. They're beautiful things. So this one, I'm very into Celtic mythology and Celtic magic. So this is the Wisdom Oracle, the Celtic Wisdom Oracle. And it's a nice little box, and inside you have a book that explains the cards to you. This is not tarot, just so you know. This is a Wisdom Oracle, and they're very, very attractive. They're green, of course, because they're Celtic. And it has a whole map that it shows you here on the back, a place to lay out the cards and what they would mean. So it's a really cool little system, but again, it's not tarot. And for some of you, this might be better. Sometimes people do better with fortune-telling cards or meditation-type cards, or oracles, people call them. All good. Tarot is a study unto itself. So just know that. But here's the cards. I'll show you some of them very easily. I can show you the webcam. Just an example of what they look like. I got these from someone, but I know that they're available online through different distributors that distribute magic, and also, of course, Amazon. So, all right. So, and if you're into Celtic mythology, you just saw the Brehon, and there's also all these different kinds of god and goddess cards. You have the bard, the poet, the prophet. These are all parts of the Celtic idea of religion. So, all right, so we're going on to the major arcana. So I am going to find what I've been doing, which if you follow this thing, you realize this is the fourth series in this series. I've been using 3 decks to make it clear to people. I use the Marseille, and my French is terrible, deck, and that because it's the most clear and easy to see. And then we look at the Rider-Waite, and then we go off into a more esoteric card type called the Thoth card, which were created by Aleister Crowley in the early 20th century. So, hi, Tammy. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming. Well, jump on in. We're going to get ourselves going into the tower. We're doing the tower. So I'm going to just pull up for you guys a nice link. And you can just click on the link, and then we can look at the card together. It's just easier. All right, here's this link. Okay, now you're going to see different ideas of what these cards are about all over the internet, and that's fine. Most of the times, though, I find that it's the same. It's just a different, hey, Brenda, how are you? It's good to see you, although I sort of see you, but I see you. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so you guys want to, if you want to catch up, those other videos are all on this site, and they're on YouTube, and I was saying before you got here that I'm going to put up all those links here on the Magic Apothecary and on the Tarot group, and you can roll back and look at the beginning pieces and catch up with everything. So this is the tower, if it shows up. I hope it does. Yeah, if I click it, I see it. So that's this one, and I'm going to look at this one. This is the Marseille deck, the tower. And when we're reading tarot cards, that's one of my cats in the back there, moving my curtains. When I'm reading the tarot cards, the first thing I look at is the picture. Okay, so when we talk more about readings and how to interpret, we'll go into more depth, but right now we're just talking about what do we see. So if you're looking at your link on the tower, you see color, you see people falling out. It's a tower, the idea of the Tower of Babel, right? So it's been hit by lightning and things are falling out as destruction and death. And you have all these little, looks like little bits of popcorn or candy flying out. But this card, they've chosen to use all the colors they've used so far in the deck. We have gold and green and red and blue, and each one of those colors has symbolic meaning. So green being, money and earth, gold also money, red is blood and fire and passion, and blue is the way we verbalize things. If you look, this card has all the colors of what we call the chakras, or the chakra system of the Hindu thought or yoga, and they're all in here, including the white for the top of the crown. So this is a card of total destruction of everything, of the body, really destroying the body. And that's kind of what this means. Like everything that you have built up and everything that there is regarding whatever subject you're reading about. If you just pulled this card out, this will be a big warning that things are going to just disappear. Things are going to totally destruct and have to be redone. So the Tower, that's the one. And let's look at this a little bit more in a more esoteric, more 20th century kind of a way with the Rider-Waite, because the Marseille deck is very old. It's like a medieval deck. The Rider-Waite deck, Tower. I'm sure you could do this too, but I'll do it for you. I'll just find you a nice pretty picture of the Tower from the, yeah, and there's lots of things on here. Just what I'm doing, lots of people have done and then put them up online. They compare towers. They compare, I mean, there are tarot nerds out there worse than I could ever be. I'm pretty bad, but there are worse ones. Okay. Thank you. Glad you're here too. All right, great. So that's a pin from Pinterest. If you have Pinterest, you can see it. It's a really pretty one. That's why I put it for the Rider-Waite deck of the Tower. Let me try to find another in case you don't have Pinterest. Pinterest. Everything's Pinterest. That's where all the pictures seem to be going online, right? On Pinterest. Yeah, that's where I'm finding it. So take a look, and if you don't, if you can find another link for yourself, just go ahead and look. This is the card here, and it's the same meaning. It's the total destruction of everything you've built up, period, obviously. This one's a little more fun. It's got similar colors, but the background is black and onerous, and you have a crown on the top that's been knocked out by God's finger, lightning, bomb, everything comes down, and people are on fire and screaming in pain and falling out. So that's it. Total destruction, total change of everything you've built up. And a lot of times we can say, oh, that's a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's cleansing for the future. All right, so now I'll go find you another one, the Thoth deck, which is really, those are a lot of fun. Those are interesting cards because it's got extra cards in the deck than are in the regular tarot decks, because Aleister Crowley had his own vision of magic and thought and had really deeply studied high magic and added a lot of that into it. And if you're interested in a really interesting figure in a modern magical and or esoteric thought, look up Aleister Crowley. He was really an interesting guy. All right, so here's one. All right, I'll get that picture for you. It's really a great card. Here's another, you know, this is, of course, again, a place where you can actually look things up. And if you like, I would say a good way to learn would be, since we have the internet, and when I started reading tarot cards, there was no internet, but now there is. So if you're learning tarot now, what a cool thing to do, you know, just look around and look up different ways and different meanings based on these cards. Just keep looking them up and read about them and see them and decide for yourself what you see in these cards. 2, this is a really different and interesting vision of the Tower. Okay, we have the eye of the god or the deity above staring down at the Tower. You see that? And it's broken in half, and there's flames coming out of the bottom. And there's birds above flying and serpents and all kinds of cracked sort of prism-like vision of what it was. Like you're looking through a broken mirror. That's the point. So again, this is a very good representation of what the Tower means. It's a total breakdown of what was actually there, whether or not it was even just thought. And in this case, it's more about, could have been illusory. It could have been real. It could have been, you know, something you built with your hands. It could be an idea. It could be a relationship. It could be anything. But this thing, whatever this is that comes up in the reading, is totally destroyed. And it's time to reevaluate. In the Crowley cards, you will find there's always a Hebrew letter and there's always a planetary symbol. I'm not an expert in Hebrew, so I can't tell you, but if you are, you can tell me what those mean. I'd love to know. And then we have Mars as the planetary, a shattering. Hey, that's right. Exactly. Like a broken mirror, Brenda. Exactly. That's what it looks like. It's really, everything's destroyed. I love that card. That's a great card. It's not that, and the death card, which we've already gone through, are not so bad. They're about what happens when things sort of come to an ending. in a way, or they're not going to work. And so we have choices. We can cry over them, and there's other cards in the tarot that kind of warn you against that, not to cry over really spilt milk. I know that sounds trivial, especially when there's a huge thing happening to people, but not to cry or whine or complain, but to say, okay, that really sucked ass. And now I go ahead and I start over, rebuild. So that's the Tower. Right following that is the Star. That's another wonderful, beautiful card. And we'll look at that in the Marseille. Oh, I'll never say it correctly. I'm terrible, terrible, terrible at French. I don't know why. The Star. This card, the Star, is the card of Aquarius, easily seen because if you know anything about astrology symbolism, you're going to see, oh, there's a pretty bunch of stuff here. There's a whole bunch of, if you scroll down, you will see a whole bunch of star cards based on the Marseille, and I'll give that to you because that's a fun link. I like that link. That's a good one. All right. So there it is. That's the link. So I have a plain old card. There's a prettier ones in there, but they're all based on the same idea. So this is in this case, looks female, but in other cases, you'll see as we go, it's androgynous. We don't know for sure if it's male or female. The stars above are 8-pointed stars. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 8-pointed stars. 8-pointed stars, making sure. 8, girl, 8. This represents the 8 points of the year, right? So the 8 points of the year plus the 8 points. 8 is twice 4, right? We know that's twice 4, and 2 4s equal the beginnings of a building, the beginning of a block, okay, the beginning of a foundation. Again, here she is pouring water over the earth, but she's getting her inspiration from above. Now, I do Reiki, and people always are a little confused about Reiki. They're like, are you giving me your energy when you give me Reiki? I'm like, no, I'm just the channel for the energy of the universe, and I'm the straw that it goes through, the channel. So in this case, she's the channel for the energy of the universe, which is coming down upon her in blessing. And she's pouring it then on the earth. It's exactly how this, I would say this is a Reiki card. I love that. That's a card of Reiki. Okay, no problem. Hey, Erica, how are you? Nice to see you. Anyway, so that's the Star. And that's from the Marseille deck. Then we're going to have a look at the Star from Rider-Waite. Let's get this guy up. So what I'm doing is giving everybody links. So later on or even now, you can poke around and look at links. You're more than welcome to not stare at me the entire time, but also explore lots of pictures online. Just go into images and Google. You will find these cards in abundance. And you can just like study them that way, unless you happen to have these decks, which is also good. Again, this is Pinterest, which is a great picture of this. I hope you have Pinterest. If not, it's a great thing to download. Kaya, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. All right, so there is that one. So the Star, but this is Rider-Waite. In this case, again, we see breasts, so we're going to assume it's a female angel type person, but maybe not. We don't know for sure if it's androgynous, if it's half male or half female. It doesn't even matter, but it's just a being, an angelic being. Again, you can see the symbolism of the sign of Aquarius in this card very clearly. Aquarius, a lot of people think it's a water sign because it is a water bearer, but it's not. It's an air sign, and it's about bringing the spring waters down at the time of Aquarius, which we're entering into in a couple of days. So as horrible and cold as it's been in the Northeast, we're soon going to have a lot of rain and thaw and get into the spring. So this is about taking the, again, energy of the universe through the channel and then pouring it down upon the earth. This is a right-sided version of the card. And if you see here, the color blue is a lot about the throat chakra and also about intelligence and mind and thought. And again, Aquarian in its way. Aquarius is very much about the mind. And here she is pouring it through her golden hair, the golden halo, onto the earth. I'm not doing reverses right now, although we could. So if you want to start playing around with reverses, everything we just said, you just reverse. It's really simple. It gets confusing to a lot of people, but it really shouldn't be. And I'm going to get into reverses more when we do readings with layouts. I think that's the time to really start understanding what reverse means when you see them come up in readings. All right, so there we're going to go into the Thoth deck. Yes. I love the Thoth deck. I just do. I think it's just so beautiful and so interesting and unusual. And it's got different things in it than the other decks that I've seen. It's just got more symbology that we kind of still, even in the 20th century, can refer more easily back to, because it's the early 20th century. So let me see if I can find a good picture of this one. And there's one I keep banging into, which might be fun since that's what we're doing, that's comparing Thoth pictures and the Rider-Waite, which is kind of good because that's what we're talking about, if you want to get into that kind of a study. All right,